Next up is Corwin Atkins. He's a veteran of the U.S. Army, a service desk team lead at the U of M, and a lifelong geek. Please welcome Corwin.
How am I supposed to follow Lego guy here? It's cheating. So I wanted to talk about getting into IT. For some people, it can be more challenging than for others. As a kid, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. I grew up relatively poor. College didn't really seem like an option. It seemed about as realistic to me as saying, be an astronaut. It just wasn't on the table. So after I graduated high school, or before I graduated high school, I love video games. The world needs defending from demons and horribly inaccurate stormtroopers. This I knew, and I was really good at it. But sometimes when you're trying to defend against those demons and stormtroopers, technical issues present themselves. So this is the first time I'd ever encountered IP addresses. Why wouldn't you give your IP address to a complete stranger on the internet? It seemed to make sense at the time. Yeah, so this is also around the time that peer-to-peer file sharing got really big, and I had to make sure all the totally legal music backups I was downloading were legit and not malware. And then after I graduated high school, I decided to go into the military. I tested well enough. They basically said, what do you want to do? I said, counterintelligence. They said, cool, we're merging that with interrogator. No, I don't want to do that. So I chose computers instead, which seemed a lot less terrible. So they trained me on a lot of things, including an inordinate amount of time spent on radios that I would never see again. Of course, when I get to my first unit, the very first thing they do want me to fix is a printer. After I got out of the military, I went and worked for a company called Quality Bicycle Products, which is headquartered in Bloomington, Minnesota. That gave me a chance to learn get my hands into a lot of different aspects of IT. It also let me learn a lot about business and managing relationships. We hosted trade shows there that we would work all weekend and meet dealers, the end customers that we were dealing with, that sort of a thing. And especially coming out of the military, that was a huge change in the customers that I was dealing with. Eventually, I wanted to learn more about how to deal with these sorts of problems at scale. So I took a job at the University of Minnesota, where I am now, to learn about dealing with these things in a much bigger, more complex environment. But all that training doesn't prepare you for this. Nobody knows what this is when you first see it. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how do you get to a point where you can start to learn about these things, right? You need experience. You need to temper your training with reality. So these are some of the questions that I like to ask candidates for new help desk positions. Have you built your own computer or replaced parts in an existing one? This indicates a lot of aptitude. When you stop looking at it as a computer and start looking at it as a collection of parts, that's a good indicator. Are you personal tech expert for your entire family? Everybody knows this one. But you can get used to dealing with technical issues and dealing with the people behind them at the same time. This is a really good indicator. The cloud. People's definition for this changes over time, but it's also good for seeing just how they think of to describe it. Are they focusing on the technical part? Are they focusing on making it easy for the person to understand? There's a lot there. What's the coolest thing you've done with technology? There's so many applications for technology now. There's something you can do with that knowledge, no matter what you're doing. It could be filmmaking, programming, robotics, anything. People get into stuff, and they can leverage that in useful ways. Entry-level IT jobs are a way for people to learn how to take those skills they already have and learn how to make them useful to other people. A lot of people legitimately have no idea that what they know is a useful skill. I didn't have the faintest clue when I was 16 that I was getting into things that would help me years later. A degree is one indicator among many. As leaders, it's our job to see the potential in people, leverage their skills and passions, and encourage growth. We should all strive to do this. For a new person who's looking to get in, there are a ton of certifications you can get. We all know this. But they're just as credible as school. If you know somebody who's looking to get in, let them know about these things. It can be a big help. Nobody told me this when I was a teenager. I got lucky. And there are also a bunch of resources that you can go to learn about these sorts of things. Some of them are free, some of them cost money. Most at least have a free trial, so you can kind of get some exposure to these things and see what what sticks, what you like looking at. That's about all I have. Like I said, I think it's important that we encourage people to learn how to use these skills. And I think the most important question we can ask isn't which checkbox somebody's ticked off. It's who are you and what do you want to do for the world? Thank you.